Kia ora whānau. Hey, good morning to you. And happy Tuesday. It's a bit of a rainy old day here in Auckland, so it's a great day for making bread. So the recipe I'm going to cook for you guys today is the artisan potato bread. This is really, really yummy. I made this last week and the loaf lasted, I think, about a day and a half. It's really light. One thing that really surprised me was how light it was. And I didn't actually know that adding potato to the dough does make it a lot lighter than just using dough alone. So here's my second time around making the artisan potato bread. So here we go. So what I have been doing already, excuse me, fogging up. In my bowl here, I have got 150 grams of potato. So my potato, I peeled it. I've got it in pieces. Sorry, my glasses are fogging up. I've got it in pieces about a centimetre square. And I also added 135 grams of water. So 150 grams of potato, 135 grams of water. I then cooked it for 10 minutes at 100 degrees at speed 1. So effectively what we've got now is just little pieces of cooked potato. So I'm just going to put this back onto my Thermi bowl and put the lid on. I've got my recipe here. So what we're going to do now, we are going to blitz this together for 5 seconds at speed number 3 until we've got a smooth potato mixture. So 5 seconds, speed number 3. Let's see what we end up with. So the instructions just say just to blitz it a bit more if you have to, just to make sure you've got a smooth mixture. So I'm almost there. I've got a few little lumpy bits left. Oh, actually that might actually do, I'm thinking. So I'm just going to transfer my little pieces of cooked and now semi-mashed potato straight into a bowl. And the water that I put in with it is completely evaporated. So what I'm basically left with here is just my cooked potato. Right. So I'm not going to bother cleaning the bowl. And that one there is my mashed potato. So I'm just going to put this aside. So into my bowl now, I'm going to carry on starting my dough. So I'm just going to go across into my scales. And I'm going to weigh in 125 grams of buttermilk. So as you would have said before, the way I make my buttermilk is for about every 120 grams, I put in 1 tablespoon of either lemon juice or white vinegar. So this is about 8 grams of vinegar and the rest of the weight made up with milk. So here we go. So hopefully I should be at 125. Ah, look at that, 124. Pretty bloody good. Okay. So into my 125 grams of buttermilk, I am going to add 2 teaspoons of dried instant yeast. I got asked the other day where I got my measuring spoons from. These are actually from the mix shop. So yeah, if you want some, go get yourself some, and they're rose gold. Really nice. So 2 teaspoons of dried instant yeast. And again, you guys know that when you're dealing with yeast in the Thermomix, always make sure that your yeast goes into the water or the milk mixture, in this case, not sitting on the blade. I'm also going to put into this 1 teaspoon of caster sugar. So 1 teaspoon of caster sugar. I actually thought this morning I might try raw sugar, but then it would mean me opening a bag and that just took a little bit too much energy up. Alrighty, so what we've got in there now, we're going to bring this up to 37 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to put in for about a minute and we'll see what we get up to. So a minute, 37 degrees, and we're just going to do a stir, so we're going to speed number 1. So I don't know if you guys have got this already, but this recipe is from the Creating Something Incredible cookbook. I'm not a great cookbook fan. In fact, I get given cookbooks and quite rarely do I actually use the recipes on them. I much prefer Cookadoo simply because I can search by ingredient or I can search by recipe name, all that kind of stuff. But I tell you what, this is probably about the fourth recipe now I've made from this cookbook. So if you haven't considered getting one of these, go and buy yourself one. They're amazing. So the artisan potato bread I'm making today is from it. I've made the wholemeal meatball soup from it, which is really, really yummy. That's a Joe Witten recipe. And the other day I made the watermelon margarita recipe. That is just absolute divine as well. And I've also got my eye on the Edna lemon curd cake, which I'm thinking I might do a live over the next couple of days. So by all means, this is a great cookbook. If you haven't got one, go and get yourself one. It's as far as I know, it's still the #1 cookbook in Australia. Okay, so my mixture is now at 37 degrees. Oh man, that's smelling nice. So into this now, I'm going to pop into my scales and I am going to add 500 grams of flour. So 500 grams of flour. Re-tear my scales. I'm going to add 30 grams of olive oil. Sorry, 20 grams of olive oil. Just about to double check that, huh? So straight into the bowl, 20 grams. When I made this last week, I actually used butter instead of olive oil, and it turned out just fine. 19, 20. I'm also going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So I just use my Himalayan pink salt here. So 1.5. I'm also going to add in my potatoes. So again, this is 155 grams of potatoes cut to 1 centimetre square and then cooked off in 135 grams of water. I'm also going to add into this 1 egg. So my egg's going straight on the top. Making sure I'm not missing anything out here. So according to the recipe, you can also add to this mixture, if you like, some linseeds. So it says about 2 teaspoons of linseeds. You can also add a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds if you like. So everything is in here now. So I'm now going to put my Thermomix into dough mode. And we're going to run dough mode for about, for 3 minutes. So into dough, 3 minutes. And on that goes. So while my machine is kneading the dough for me, I'm going to get ready a couple of my things. So first of all, I need a large glass bowl, and we're going to use this to prove the dough in. So I'm just going to put a little drop of olive oil in the bottom of my bowl. And just using a pastry brush, I'm just going to oil it up. So this can be quite a wet dough. So it just means that when it's rising, if you don't grease the bowl it's rising in, that you could get a lot stuck to the sides. So here we go. That's nicely greased. And when we cook this bread, we cook it in a 22 or a 23 centimetre springform tin. So the recipe calls to both grease and line the tin. I'm only going to line the bottom of the tin because last time I made it, I found that it didn't stick to the sides anyway, so I'm just being double safe really. So what I'm going to do is just release the bottom, pull myself off some baking paper, I'm going to push the baking paper. Oh, I'm just going to push the baking paper onto the removable base. And then what I'm going to do is just drop the base back on and close it up. So what I've got left is basically baking paper that's just trapped on the bottom of the bowl. Now just grabbing my scissors, I'm just going to trim around it. Just like that. I was actually shown this method by one of our fellow consultants. I used to go through and nicely draw around it and cut it out and make sure it was a perfect fit. Don't bother anymore. Alrighty, so that's ready to go. So after this step completes, I'm going to put my nicely kneaded dough into my greased bowl. I'm going to cover it with my dough mat and put it somewhere warm. So I've just got my oven. I preheated it to 60 degrees. I turned it off and left the door open for a few minutes. That's the way I typically prove my dough during winter. So I'm going to put this in here, cover it over, and it's going to double in size in hopefully about 40 minutes. Last time it took me about 50 minutes, but I think it does depend upon the temperature and the amount of the type of yeast you've got. So once it is doubled in size, what we're going to do is tip it out, punch it down, put it into our cake tin, and then we're going to leave it to prove for a second time for about another 15 minutes. Then we're going to preheat our oven to 190 degrees. We're going to mix an egg yolk and 2 tablespoons of water together. Using a sharp knife, we're just going to cut some crosses into the top of the loaf. We're just going to brush over our egg yolk and our egg yolk and our water mixture. And then we're just going to bake it in the oven. And it says to bake it in the oven for about 35 minutes. And you know it's done when you tap the bread and the bread is sounding hollow. This is a really good recipe, guys. I think this is going to be my go-to bread for a while now. It's so light, it's so tasty, and I tell you what, it just makes amazing toast a couple of days after. It's just phenomenal. Anyway, let's have a look at our dough, see what we're left with. So that's our dough there. It's looking nice and brought together. So I'm just going to drop that straight into my bowl. And you guys, with the Thermomix, know you put it upside down and you twiddle the blade at the bottom. Twiddle is the technical term, in case you're wondering. And your dough should just fall right out. Okay, so there's a little bit left behind. This dough is so soft and it smells amazing. I'm imagining you could do this with kumara as well. So it could be worth giving that a go. Cool, so there's my dough. Going to bring it together as a nice ball. Put my dough mat on top. And I'm going to put this now in my warm place to double in size. Hopefully it'll take about 40 minutes. Hey guys, give this recipe a go. If you do make it, please put a picture up on my Facebook page. I'd love to see what it turns out like. Have a great day. The weather here in Auckland is not looking too hot. I think it's going to be a bit of a rainy one. So it could be a bit of an inside one. But anyway, have a great day. I'll see you guys later.